Little boy was picking up a kite on the road. Suddenly, a truck sped toward him. The next second, the truck flipped over. A bloody shoe rolled out. Jack screamed in grief as he watched his son die before his eyes. That night, he buried his son on a hillside. But after he left, a small hand reached out from the grave. A month earlier, Jack had moved to the countryside to live. They were very satisfied with their new life there. But just 10 minutes after arriving, Jack's son nearly got hit by a car. Fortunately, their neighbor Mike appeared in time to prevent the tragedy. However, strange things continued to happen in the days that followed. The next day, Jack took them out for a walk. Before they knew it, they had arrived at a pet cemetery. Any pet that dies is buried here. There are already over 100 tombstones here. Someone found Jack at night. The next moment, the ghost vanished again. Jack thought he was having a nightmare. He turned to look at his sleeping wife. Suddenly, the ghost appeared again at the bedside. Guided by the ghost, they arrived at the pet cemetery. The ghost told Jack not to cross the wooden fence behind the cemetery. Then Jack opened his eyes and found himself at home. He thought the previous experience was a nightmare, but when he lifted the blanket, he found his feet covered in mud. Soon after, Mike called. He said a cat had been hit and killed at his front door. It looked a lot like the one his daughter had been raising. Jack looked at the cat and didn't know how to explain it to his daughter. At that moment, Mike told Jack he had a solution. Jack followed Mike over the wooden fence and across the hill. Finally arriving at the destination Mike had mentioned, it was a graveyard adorned with eerie patterns. Mike told him to bury the cat there. Jack asked him why, but Mike didn't answer. He simply handed him the tools he was holding. Jack could only pick up the pickaxe and strike it down with all his might. The next moment, the pickaxe was struck so hard it sparked sparks. Jack dug all day and finally dug a small hole. After burying the cat, he returned home. Mike then instructed him not to tell anyone about tonight's events. The next day, the kitten suddenly appeared, startling Jack. 10 minutes later, he nervously grabbed the cat and examined it closely. He found that the cat's wounds had healed, but it had a foul odor and had become extremely ferocious. Confused, Jack went to Mike's house. At that moment, Mike revealed the truth. It turned out that the graveyard had the power to resurrect the dead. But the resurrected creatures were not the same as before. A few days later, his wife and children returned. Jack invited Mike to go on a picnic with them. As they were talking, his son ran onto the highway. A truck was approaching from a distance. Jack sprinted toward the highway with all his might. Just as he was about to grab his son, he stumbled and fell. The next moment, the truck overturned. A bloodstained shoe rolled to the center. At the funeral, his wife sobbed uncontrollably while clinging to her mother. Upon seeing the kitten, Jack devised a bold plan.